Los Angeles, 1968. No tickets. Private invitation only. Just 40 black belts in a private ring on the west side. And one question burning in the air like a lit fuse. Is Bruce Lee real, or is this whole thing an act? The room smells like sweat and skepticism. Tournament fighters line the walls, arms crossed, faces hard. Senseis who've built empires from single dojos. Students who worship their masters like gods, all waiting to see if the rumors hold up under pressure. The air is thick, heavy enough to cut. Bruce walks in, 5'7", 130 pounds, moving like water over stones, like he's not quite subject to the same physics as everyone else. Chuck Norris stands across from him, 6 feet, 175 pounds. America's most feared tournament fighter. The man who trains Hollywood's tough guys when they need to look dangerous on screen. The man who's never lost in sanctioned competition. Who's faced the best fighters from 3 continents and walked away undefeated. The size difference is brutal, almost comical. Makes some of Chuck's students smirk and exchange glances that say this is going to be over fast. That they're about to watch their teacher expose another fraud. One mutters just loud enough for the room to hear. This is who everyone's scared of. Another voice cuts through the tension, quieter but sharper, like a blade sliding from a sheath. If he's real, prove it. Bruce is the TV guy from that Green Hornet show. The one talking about a new style that throws out kata, rejects tradition, breaks every rule these men have spent decades perfecting and defending. If he fails here, if he gets exposed in front of every sensei who matters in Southern California, his reputation doesn't just take a hit, it evaporates. Becomes a joke. Another actor who couldn't back up the hype. Another Hollywood guy pretending to be what these men have earned through blood. Bruce steps into the ring barefoot, black pants, white shirt, face calm as glass as still water. Chuck squares up across from him. Professional but wary. Every instinct telling him something here doesn't add up, and there's an edge in his voice when he says it. Hit me. 3 seconds later, every black belt in that room realizes they've been training the wrong thing their entire lives. But rewind. Chuck hesitates. Not from fear, from calculation. He's spent years earning respect the hard way. Tournament after tournament, win after win. Air Force training in Korea, masters in Japan. Black belts earned through blood and discipline. If this TV guy is faking, Chuck will expose it fast and clean. If he's real, Chuck needs to know how it works. A tournament official stands at the edge of the ring, clipboard in hand. 2 coaches from rival schools watch with arms crossed. Faces skeptical. Bruce doesn't move. Hands loose at his sides. Breathing quiet and controlled. That's what makes it dangerous. That's what makes Chuck's instincts scream that something here doesn't add up. Chuck throws a jab. Clean. Fast. Textbook form. The kind that started 100 winning combinations. Bruce's head shifts 1 inch to the left. Just 1 inch. The punch cuts air where his face was a heartbeat ago. Chuck resets immediately. Professional instinct kicking in. Throws a cross with full commitment. Hip rotating, weight transferring, everything technically perfect. Bruce pivots on his back heel. Movement so small it's almost invisible, and the fist whispers past his jaw like a ghost. This isn't luck. Chuck can feel it in his bones. Every strike he throws meets empty space. Bruce isn't even sweating. His breathing hasn't changed. His eyes are calm, focused, reading Chuck like a book written in a language Chuck didn't know existed. Chuck is faster than 99% of the fighters he's faced. His hands are quick. His footwork is tight. His timing is championship caliber. But Bruce is reading him like the book is already finished. And he's just waiting for Chuck to catch up to the ending. And Bruce still hasn't moved his hands. Not once. Not to block. Not to counter. They're just there. Loose and ready. Waiting for something. The crowd leans forward without realizing it. Sensing something unusual is happening, but not quite understanding what. Chuck commits. No more testing. He steps in with a cross. Full power. Championship timing. The kind of punch that's ended fights and won trophies. 1. Bruce takes a half step to the outside angle. Chuck's fist cuts through the space where Bruce's head was a fraction of a second ago. 2. Bruce's weight shifts forward. Smooth as oil flowing. Impossibly controlled. 3. His palm touches Chuck's solar plexus. 6 inches of travel from chamber to impact. No wind-up. No shoulder twitch. No telegraph at all. The strike starts at impact. like it materialized out of thin air. Chuck's lungs shut down. Air leaves his body in a rush. He staggers back 2 steps, hands instinctively grabbing his chest, trying to remember how to breathe. His diaphragm spasms. His knees wobble. The room goes completely silent. 10 seconds pass. 20. Nobody breathes. Nobody moves. What they just witnessed shouldn't exist in the physical world. Bruce didn't block Chuck's punch. He didn't dodge it dramatically. He controlled the entire exchange with less effort than it takes to close a door, standing in one spot like he was rooted to the earth itself. The official takes a step forward, hand raised, then freezes mid-motion. He doesn't know what to call. Was that a strike? Was it a point? What are the rules for something that shouldn't be possible? One of the rival coaches uncrosses his arms slowly, mouth slightly open, staring like he's watching a magic trick he can't figure out. Someone in the back row is counting under his breath, trying to replay the sequence in his mind, trying to break it down into teachable components that make sense. A sensei in the front row, a man who's been teaching for 20 years, stands up slowly and walks toward the exit, not angry, not protesting, just shocked. His footsteps echo in the silence. His entire understanding of power, of leverage, of how combat actually works, just collapsed like a house of cards. Everything he thought was fundamental just got questioned. Chuck drops his hands completely. He stands there, breathing hard through his mouth, trying to process what just happened, staring at Bruce like he's seeing something for the first time that he can't quite name or categorize or fit into his understanding of how the world works. He's been training since he was a teenager, since his first day in a Korean dojang during his Air Force service. Studied under masters across 3 countries, drilled 10,000 kicks, thrown 100,000 punches, sparred thousands of rounds, won respect from men who don't give it easily or often, who measure worth in sweat and pain, built a reputation as one of the most dangerous men in American martial arts, someone other fighters study and try to emulate, and in 3 beats, maybe 2 seconds total. This guy just dismantled him without breaking a sweat, without even looking like he was trying particularly hard, like it was effortless. Bruce steps back, his posture relaxing like a cat that's finished playing, and offers a small nod, not smug, not condescending, not gloating or celebrating, just acknowledgement. A simple gesture of respect between warriors who understand what just transpired. Chuck doesn't feel embarrassed. That's the strange part, the part that surprises him most about his own reaction. He doesn't feel humiliated or angry or defensive or any of the emotions he expected. He feels something else entirely. Respect. Deep, bone-level respect that goes beyond technique or style or who won or lost. And hunger. The kind of hunger that shows up when you realize the map you've been reading your entire life is incomplete, that there are entire territories you didn't know existed, and someone just handed you a compass that points to them. He walks up to Bruce, every eye in the room locked on them, every person present knowing they're witnessing something that will be talked about for years, that will become legend. What the hell was that? Bruce's answer is calm, almost gentle, like a teacher explaining a simple concept to a curious student. Not speed. Timing. Chuck doesn't hesitate, doesn't need to think about it, doesn't need to protect his pride or reputation. Teach me. Bruce smiles, not the smile of someone who just proved a point or won an argument or demonstrated superiority. The smile of someone who found what he was looking for, who just discovered a kindred spirit, someone who values growth over ego. You teach me too. Bruce explains it once, and it rewires Chuck's entire understanding of combat. Most fighters telegraph their moves before they throw them. They shift their weight early, tense their shoulders before punching, cock their hips before kicking. These are tiny movements, fractions of a second, but they give away the roadmap of what's coming. And if you can read the map, you don't need to be faster than the technique itself. You just need to be faster than the intention behind it. You intercept the thought before it becomes action. You move in the gap between decision and execution. Economy of motion means no wasted energy. No excess movement. Everything stripped down to its essential core. You collapse the gap between wanting to strike and actually landing it. Make the distance between thought and impact disappear. Chuck listens like his survival depends on understanding every word. His entire framework for fighting is being rebuilt from the foundation up. Bruce isn't lecturing or posturing. There's no arrogance in his voice. He's genuinely curious about what Chuck knows, because Bruce has a problem he can't solve alone. A gap in his game that frustrates him. His punches are surgical. His trapping is world-class. His hand speed is legendary. But his kicks are good, not great. And Chuck's kicks are legendary. Everyone in that room knows it. Everyone has seen Chuck throw a spinning hook kick that could take someone's head off. They start training together in Chuck's backyard, in the San Fernando Valley. No cameras, no journalists, no audience, no witnesses to what happens when two masters decide to tear down their egos and build something new. Just two men, a worn heavy bag hanging from a tree, and an obsessive desire to get better. Bruce brings his wooden dummy, the Mook Jong, scarred and dented from years of strikes, and sets it up under the shade. Chuck brings resistance bands, stretching routines, and a work ethic that borders on pathological. They spar for hours in the California heat. Shirts soaked with sweat, muscles burning, pushing each other past what they thought possible. It's not master-student. It's partnership. Two equals trading knowledge, like currency. And that's what makes it rare. Most legends don't train with each other. They train at each other, competing, protecting their secrets, guarding their egos. Bruce and Chuck do the opposite. They open up, they share. They fail in front of each other and admit when something doesn't work. One day, Chuck throws a full-speed roundhouse at Bruce's ribs. The kind of kick that's won him championships. That's ended fights in the second round. Bruce catches it mid-arc, ankle in hand like a steel trap, and shows Chuck the exact pull and counter from that first night. The mechanics he used to collapse Chuck's balance. This time, Chuck feels it from the inside, understands the timing, the weight transfer, the angle, sees how Bruce's weight shifts before contact, how his hips rotate to generate the pull, how his hand position controls the angle. They drill it 50 times until Chuck can execute it himself, until his body knows the movement without thought. Bruce grins, sweat dripping. Now you have it too. Chuck catches his breath, but you still can't kick high enough. Bruce's smile fades, his jaw tightens. I know. One afternoon, they're drilling side kicks, blazing sun, shirts off, legs burning. Bruce throws a kick at the bag, fast, sharp, clean. Misses center by an inch. He curses in Cantonese. Chuck steps in, adjusts Bruce's stance, pushes his hips forward slightly, rotates his standing foot 15 degrees. Tiny adjustment, barely visible, but it changes everything. Bruce resets. Chambers. Fires. The bag explodes backward like it was hit by a car. Chain rattles violently. Impact echoes like a gunshot. Bruce looks at Chuck, wonder in his eyes. You just gave me 2 more inches. Chuck grins. You gave me 2 seconds. That's the trade. They're teaching each other how to think differently. How to see a fight as conversation where the best listener wins. How to stay humble when the world calls you master. Rome, 1972. The Colosseum looms behind them. 2,000 years old, ancient stone, that's witnessed more violence than any place on earth. They're filming The Way of the Dragon. Bruce directs. Chuck plays the villain. They've rehearsed the choreography for weeks. Mapped out every move frame by frame, every angle calculated down to the degree. Every strike timed to the exact moment it needs to land for the camera. Safety is paramount. Control is everything. Precision over power. But there's one take. The flying sidekick sequence near the climax of the fight, where something shifts, where the line between performance and reality blurs. Chuck launches himself into the air at full speed. Muscles coiling and exploding, everything he's got. Bruce counters with a sweep, spinning low and fast. They've done this exact combination 100 times in practice runs, in rehearsals, in blocking sessions. But this time, for maybe 3 seconds, it stops being choreography. It stops being a movie. The speed is real. The intent is real. The impact points are millimeters from being dangerous, from ending careers or worse. The trust required to not accidentally break each other is absolute and terrifying. Chuck's kick passes so close to Bruce's head, he can feel the wind of it, feel the air displacement. Bruce's sweep comes within inches of taking out Chuck's supporting leg, of sending him crashing to the stone floor. The crew goes completely quiet. Camera still rolling, but everyone frozen, holding their breath. They just watched two masters speak a language most people don't know exists. A language written in movement and trust, and years of shared sweat and failure and breakthrough. When Bruce dies the next year, too young, too sudden, cerebral edema that nobody saw coming, that took him in his sleep, Chuck doesn't just lose a friend or a co-star or a training partner. He loses the person who saw his potential when others saw limits. The person who demanded he reach higher when he wanted to settle. The person who made him better by refusing to let him be comfortable. The lesson isn't about who won the exchange that night in 1968. It's about what happens when you're good enough to be dangerous but smart enough to stay teachable. Bruce walked into that ring with everything to prove and nothing to protect. His reputation was on the line, but his ego wasn't in the way. Chuck could have defended his turf, protected his reputation, dismissed Bruce as another actor playing martial artist. Instead, he chose the harder path. He chose growth over comfort. So here's the question, and it's more specific than ego versus growth. When someone showed you a level you didn't know existed, when they made you look at your craft and realize you'd been missing something fundamental, did you protect your pride or did you say, "Teach me"? Did you defend what you'd already built, or did you risk it for something greater? If this hit, subscribe. Your Teach Me moment might be next.